Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Jody Anderson Duquette here with Workamper News. And if you're not familiar with Workamper News, we've been helping our viewers find great jobs in great places since 1986 or 87, sorry, giving us an extra year. But anyway, today we are online to learn all about a work camping opportunity that has been around for many years now, and that is the Sugar Beet Harvest. And Express Employment Professionals hires work campers for many different receiving stations. And so today we're online. Alyssa's here with us. She is going to give you all of the ins and outs of this work camping opportunity, so that way you are able to make a better decision on if it sounds right for you or not. So she's going to go through a presentation here on the screen. Like I said, going through, compensation, what the duties are, schedule, different things like that. Those of you who are online live with this webinar, we're happy to take your questions. So on your control panel, if you're on a desktop or laptop, you should have that on your screen there, questions or chat section that you can click on, type in any questions at any time. If you're on a smartphone or a tablet, you should have that questions option on the bottom of your screen. You could tap on, type in your questions. We will go through as many questions as we can. We usually run about an hour, a little bit longer if we need to get more questions answered. Happy to do that for you guys. We are recording this webinar, so we'll have this recording available on the Workamper News YouTube channel. We'll be sure to get it on Express Employment Professionals featured employer page at workamper.com, and it will also be emailed out to anyone who registered for the webinar. So when you guys get that email in your inbox later this evening and you have some other Workamper friends that you think may enjoy this opportunity, just hit that forward button and send it right on to your Workamper friends. So, all right, I think that's all the housekeeping we need to take care of. I'm excited for you guys to meet Alyssa. She's a super awesome gal and has worked really hard to develop a work camper opportunity that a lot of work campers have enjoyed over the years. So, Alyssa, thanks so much for joining us, for being here today. Take it away.
All right, Miss Jody, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you and Workamper News for hosting us and continue to host us. I think we've had our Workamper program since 2006. Started out with 60 work campers that we brought on, and now we're upwards of over 1,000 between all of our opportunities. So huge shout out to Workamper News giving us the access and the ability to speak with the work campers and be a part of the family. So thank you so much. Thank you to everybody else who's joining us today from your home, or maybe you're hanging out at a coffee shop or something watching this. But thank you all for participating and checking to see if this is the right opportunity for you. I'm a punny person. I really like puns, and one of my favorites is we are not here to sugarcoat it. We're here to be as transparent as possible. You'll hear it from me. You'll hear it from our Workamper coordinators as you begin to speak with them. But we just want to make sure that we are presenting you the correct information and providing you as much education about the beet harvest as possible to ensure that this is right for you. So we'll go ahead and get started. As you can see, we did a couple videos this year. This is a piling location, and that machine that you see in the center pushing the beets out is a piling machine. So as we get through some of the conversation, the way that it all kind of looks will all start to make sense in regards to positions and what happens. Okay, so today's topics. What is the sugar beet harvest and why do we do it? Why we need work campers, our locations, the positions available, what the working conditions are like. We'll talk about the pay. We generally get a lot of questions about solo work campers, campgrounds, the weather. Of course, I think is always on people's minds of what is the weather in October? Are we already covered in 10 feet of snow and freezing? Hiring process, what that looks like, some frequently asked questions that we get, how you can learn more or participate with us during the off season, and then like Jody said, we'll open it up for some questions. And as you can see in the bottom right hand corner of our screen is our website. That should be pretty much in every slide, and it is www.theunbeatableexperience.com. So as always, make sure to check out our website. On the left, that scrolling image, those are sugar beets. A lot of people think that it is the red garden variety beet. These are not. These are white sugar beets, and we'll kind of get more into what it is. All right, so the sugar beet harvest, what is it? Why do we do it? For those of you that do not know, 60% of the nation's sugar comes from sugar beets, not sugar cane. And I think that surprises a lot of people. So the sugar that you put in your coffee, your late night ice cream, your snacks, your brownies, you're more than likely consuming sugar from sugar beets. Of that sugar, American Crystal produces almost a third of that. So it is up there, and it's a huge undertaking helping American Crystal Sugar get those beets piled and creating that sugar that we all love, or at least I love it. Had some this morning. So all the work is at the beet receiving stations, which again, you saw in kind of the first video. It's not in the fields. A lot of people think that we're looking for people to hand pick sugar beets or to drive the trucks. We are not. We are looking for people to work at the beet receiving stations and help us pile the beets. We're looking to hire approximately 1,400 workers for the positions, and it's a combination of locals and work campers. So we've got again, we've got about 800 work campers that we hire for the North Dakota, Minnesota, or American Crystal Sugar opportunity. And then we also bring in our locals to help us fulfill this as well. So it's really a joint thing. These piling locations where we're working, the beets are piled, and that's where they're stored until they can be brought in and processed into sugar. So basically, when we're done piling beets, they're left here at the stations, and then later a company will come through and they will pick up those beets, truck them to the locations, the 5 factories that we have, that American Crystal has, and then process them into sugar. So thankfully, in most years, North Dakota and Minnesota are just, you know, their own refrigerator, and we've got the ability to host these beets until they can be brought in. So American Crystal Sugar has 36 piling sites, 5 factories, and 1 quality lab in what we call the Red River Valley, which is the North Dakota and Minnesota border area that goes from the south of Fargo all the way up to the Canadian border. For anybody who's watching the last few years, you know that we have incredibly different seasons each year. Thinking back in 2018, 2019, those were some difficult years. We had a lot of precipitation, cold, snow, and I think harvest was officially called on November 9th with some beets still in the ground. So that one kind of took us a little bit. And then in the next year, 2020, was a record-breaking harvest with most locations being done in 9 days. It was the fastest harvest I've ever seen. Last year, I think we would consider that about an average harvest. We did shut down early on for a few days due to heat, which personally I'd rather be shut down for heat due to cold, then you get to go out and enjoy the area. But we were shut down to the start due to heat, but then once we started, we really got off and running, and most locations were able to finish out with people heading down the road by, say, October 23rd, 24th. So it really was kind of like your typical average harvest where we had a little bit of shutdown, but we were still able to finish up by the end of October. These beet piles, they contain about 100,000 tons of sugar beets each. And there's 112 beet piles throughout these 36 stations. If you put them all together, it would be 30 miles long. So, I mean, these things are massive, and you'll kind of see it as we go through and you see more pictures. It is one of the biggest agricultural movements in the country, and it's an incredible thing to be a part of, for sure. I have been with Express since 2013, and beet harvest is what caught my love and attention and kept me here, and I still love it just as much now as I did day one. And I think other people start to catch the vision and the love for beet harvest, and it makes for a really fun thing. We've got people who do it just to say that they've done it and it was on their bucket list. They've checked it off and they've moved on. And we've got people who are coming back for like their 20th season. So again, there are people who've caught the harvest bug just as much as some of us other folks have. The biggest question we get is, when does it start and when does it end? So harvest generally starts October 1st. It's a 10 to 15 working day season, but we ask for a commitment through October 31st. The reason we do that is it can take the whole month of October to get those 10 to 15 working days in. And it's due to if we experience inclement weather. So if it's too hot, too cold, too wet, or too windy, we cannot pile those beets. So heat, cold, rain, and snow can all shut us down. And there has to be a prime temperature that we pile the beets in. It generally, the optimum range is between 32 degrees and 55 degrees. And again, as you get here and you learn more about beets, it's a pretty incredible thing to see. They'll measure the temperature of the beet itself and check to make sure it's not too hot or not too cold. So very cool. So October is our prime time because on average the temperatures are ideal for that long-term beet storage. So really between that 32 to 55, which again is why we shut down early last year, is those temperatures, we were in the 60s and 70s, which put us down. But a lot of people went fishing and did some really cool stuff. And sometimes we experience extended shutdowns. And when we do that, we try to do everything we can to keep you engaged. I've seen everything from folks, again, if it's warm out, enjoying the local activities, to renting out movie theaters to make sure people are having things to do. And again, that was like a 2019 situation where we were shut down significantly. But all in all, keeping our people engaged and around is super important to us, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into it. But so again, 10 to 15 working day season, but asking for a commitment through October 31st because it can take the whole month to get those days in. Harvest ends at different times each year and also by receiving stations. So we have some smaller locations that only have 2 pilers that may get done sooner than larger locations that might have about 8 pilers. Everything we do is based on Mother Nature, weather, and the size of the beet crop. Harvest will go as quick as the weather allows us to. If your location finishes up sooner than a different location and that other location is still needing assistance, we might be able to shift you to that location so that you can keep in on the fun. Just some takeaways from the screen. As you can see, you can earn $4,300 in 2 weeks, and that is per person. So if you work the 2 weeks, and let's say without any shutdowns, you get your 5 days and then your 2 days of weekend premium pay. That is $4,300 gross per person. Okay. October 1st start date, again, 10 to 15 working day season, weather permitted. We do pay your camping fees, which as we get into campgrounds, we'll discuss that a little bit more. You're not working in the fields and no experience necessary. The minimum age requirement and the only age requirement we have is you have to be at least 18 years or older. That's it. Some fun little information facts from 2023. We had 568,448 truckloads of beets delivered. Over 12.7 million tons of beets harvested. This was a record year for American Crystal Sugar. There's about 31.99 tons of beets per acre for an average yield. And the average sugar content, and this is important because the growers are paid based on their sugar content. So it's super important as part of the task for one of the positions is a sample taker, and why that's important we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But 18.58% was the average sugar content from the beets. So that's a pretty cool number there too. Why do we need your help? So we are so thankful for our work campers. As everybody knows, depending on where you're at in the world, it can be a little short-staffed, and it can be super difficult to find people who are willing and ready to work especially for a temporary position. You know, a lot of places, full-time, long-term, that are offering great benefits are struggling. So for us being a temporary position, it's definitely difficult to fill roles sometimes. And so that's why we are so thankful for our work campers to help us fill these difficult temporary roles. Our work campers are amazing. You guys are reliable, dependable, hardworking, and committed to this opportunity. I mean, you guys put some skin in the game, traveling to your destinations to work. And so when you guys are here, you know, you're ready to go. You're ready for the fun, but you're also ready to make some money and to work hard for that. And so we appreciate it and value you guys immensely. In 2023, I just noticed that the number on the screen is wrong. So nearly 50% of our is seasonal workforce year after year. But in 2023, 53% of our workforce was work campers. So, I mean, we're starting to see an increase. More folks are applying. They're more interested in harvest. I think American Crystal Sugar has done an immensely incredible job ensuring that your time here, that you guys are appreciated and valued, and that, you know, what you're coming up here for, they want you guys to have a good time as well. So I think overall, it's just a great opportunity. And then hopefully you can head out before the weather gets here and you're on to something better, bigger, and warmer. Warmer is the key takeaway. So again, American Crystal Sugar hires over 1,400 seasonal workers with Express Employment Professionals. So it really is a partnership. Again, we find that our work campers have a tremendous work ethic and can be trusted to get the job done. And you guys are the heartbeat, here's my pun again, of our operation. So thank you all so much for even considering this opportunity. Locations. So as we kind of talked about, we span what we call the Red River Valley, or what you guys might hear people refer to as the RRV, Red River Valley. And that is the eastern North Dakota and western Minnesota border. As you can see in that little image, we've got 5 factories scattered throughout Drayton, East Grand Forks, Crookston, Hillsborough, and Moorhead. So 5 different locations. We have offices that take care of just beet harvest in these locations. So when you come up here, you'll have something that's close by to you where you'll have a harvest supervisor that you'll be working with and speaking to. But so this is our locations for American Crystal Sugar. Images, as you can see, the green leafy tops, those are what a sugar beet field looks like before the leaves actually close in and cover the rows. And then on the bottom, we kind of did a fun thing over the last couple of years where we took pictures of the beets as they grew and compared them to a little Winnebago that we had that I think my children stole. So we'll have to find that again. Positions. So the #1 position that we hire for, and the only one that Express Employment can guarantee, is our helper sample taker position. And just to note before we get too far into it, all of our positions are 2 12-hour shifts. So we have a day shift, which is 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and a night shift, which is 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. We do operate again 24/7, weather permitting, once harvest starts in October 1. So once we start, we go until we're either complete or we experience some type of weather event shutdown. We do not guarantee shifts. You can let us know what you would prefer, but we do not guarantee that. So when you meet with your harvest coordinator, they'll ask you what your preference is, but please understand, we do not guarantee shifts. There is no night shift differential as well. One thing to consider for the families that are traveling, so if you are coming with a spouse or a partner, we don't separate spouses or partners unless you request to be separated. So sometimes if we have a family that's traveling and they've got young kids that can't be left alone, then we arrange for the parents to work on opposite shifts to make sure that they're, you know, somebody that can be home with the kids. But we don't, that's a lot of questions we've gotten lately is, do we separate couples? You might not work on the same piler at the location, but we don't separate you locations or shift unless you request it. Okay, So the helper sample taker, back to this. It's what 95% of our staff are hired for. And again, the only position we guarantee. There are skilled positions, which we'll get into in the next slide, but express employment only guarantees the helper sample taker position. This position is responsible for collecting beet samples, and you're also assisting the piler operator in cleaning and maintaining the piling area itself. So as you can see in the video on the right, that is what they're doing. They're scraping that mud and beet remedies left over. Any kind of loose beets, they're trying to get back into the end dump so those can be put into the pile. But it's a lot of maintaining the area, directing the trucks, as you can see on the left-hand side. These are really great videos of truly what these positions entail. They'll help communicate with the drivers to ensure safe and accurate unloading of the trucks, as you see, or as you saw in the video on the left. So great view of that. But so this position is again, it's the only position that we guarantee that we bring people on for. The skilled positions American Crystal Sugar will discuss with us, and we'll get into that on the next slide. So you are on your feet on concrete for 12 hours doing these types of tasks. Sometimes in nice weather, as you can see, it's nice and sunny in these images, and sometimes it is not as pretty out, and the sky is, you know, completely open, no clouds, the wind might be blowing sideways, and it might be 2 o'clock in the morning and cold. So it is not for everybody. And again, this is why it's so important that we have these, is to ensure that you guys understand what you're traveling up here for. Okay. Skilled positions. So we've got two. We've got our piler operator and our skid steer operator. And again, I want to reiterate, these positions are not guaranteed, and they are hand selected by American Crystal Sugar. Most individuals do not get placed in a skilled position in their first year. If we're really hard up on skid steer, or if people leave during the year, then you might be brought up as a relief and will have been trained throughout the first, say, week or so to be able to go into that role. Skid steer operators, as you can see on the left video and up on that top right image, they are responsible for placing the deep freeze pipes, as you can see in that video. And what those do is the pipes push air through the pile to help cool the beets for long-term storage. So it takes a lot of detail. The person operating the skid steer has to watch for trucks, people, and what they're doing is intricate. So it truly does need to be somebody who has previous skid steer experience. This position requires skill and attention to detail with the surroundings. Like I already said, you've got people kind of everywhere. And so in order to be considered for this position, American Crystal Sugar requires an audition. So if you have skid steer experience, please list it in your online application. What we do is we would bring you in a little bit earlier than other folks, and then they would, again, audition you to see if that would be a good role for you. Okay, and if it's not, that's okay. We're still gonna have that role as the helper sample taker. And then the piler operator. It's the individual located in the cabin, which is in that bottom right. As you can see, that gal has done quite a few harvests. She's got her beet harvest stickers on the side of her hard hat. So it looks like she's been doing beets for a while. I see a 2013 on there. So, and there's stickers as well. So if anybody's a big collector, I'm sure there will be some that we can find. But their responsibility is orchestrating the piler control switches and building the actual beet piler. So they're going to swing that boom across and out and truly build the pile. They're also responsible for assisting in daily cleanup too. So they're going to get down and they're going to help folks clean the piler too. This position requires you to have some previous machinery experience, but it is trainable as well. But of course, anybody who's had previous heavy machinery experience is always encouraged to apply for this one as well. And again, it's not necessarily, it is a type of audition as well, where they will bring you out and see if this is something that that would also be a good fit for you as well. So if you have experience in heavy machinery, please identify that again on your application. Working conditions. Again, we're not here to sugarcoat it. The sugar beet harvest is not for everyone. It can be a physically demanding job. And again, you're on your feet for a majority of your shift. You're required to lift, pull, push a minimum of 25 pounds, and you're going to be performing tasks such as bending, stooping, shoveling, and climbing around the equipment. Most of these sites are located in areas that are open to the elements, and the wind always seems to be blowing. So it can get very dusty at times, but again, the wind, you know, I think our joke up here is it'd be nice out if it wasn't for the wind. And then the other joke, again, we're flat, so there's not a lot of trees. We're just flat. So the other joke is that you can watch a dog run away for 2 weeks. So again, in working conditions, if you prepare for them, you wear a lot of layers, which again, on our social media sites, we have these resources out there for you to help you prepare for the working conditions and what to expect during harvest. So again, always check us out online, our Facebook, our social medias, and we'll have all the links later on here. But again, we're located where the elements can get you. Please understand the weather can be less than favorable. So you might be performing your duties in wind, snow, cold, and rain, and especially for those on the night shift, okay? But again, we've got great resources for folks of how to prepare for all that. Pay and benefits. Since these are 12-hour shifts, the first 8 hours of each day are regular time, the last 4 of each day are time and a half, and all day Saturday is time and a half, and all day Sunday is double time as long as you don't miss your Monday through Friday shift. Pay starts at $19.36 an hour for the helper sample taker position. If you are selected for skid steer or piler operator, there is an increase in wage to that as well, which you can connect with your harvest coordinator about that. Again, 95% of our folks start as helper sample takers. That's why it's super important just to know that the starting wage is $19.36 an hour. You are also eligible for a season completion bonus. So that is based on your gross wages made during main harvest. We also, for new hires, your season completion bonus is 5% of your gross wages. And for rehires, which means you've had to work consecutively, so you had to work in 2023, it is a 10% of their gross wages. And that is paid out before December 31st. We don't give exact dates because we don't know when harvest is going to end. New in the last couple years is stay pay. And so what that means is after October 1st, so after beet harvest starts, if we experience any weather-related shutdowns that are out of everybody's control, American Crystal Sugar will give 4 hours for that day. So say we work Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, it gets so hot that we can't pile. You're going to get 4 hours for that day. And then Thursday and Friday are normal, so we're back to work, and you're still getting your premium pay on the weekends because, again, that was something that was out of our control. If we are shut down on the weekend, so say we get to a premium pay weekend and we're shut down, you get that 4 hours at a time and a half rate. So you'll still be getting 4 hours for Saturday or Sunday, but it will be paid out at the time and a half rate. And then, of course, your campsite is paid for as a part of your compensation package. We will not be sending out 1099s, and you will complete a W-4 upon arrival. Okay, so good stuff. And again, check us out online. There's a lot of great information about people and what their season was like and what their experience was, and great stuff out there. Solo work campers. At this time, we're encouraging all solo work campers to, of course, bring somebody with them because it's always funner to work with a friend. However, you're going to meet so many incredible people while you're here because pretty much everybody who's here around that time is here for the beet harvest. So we've all got one goal during that time. And again, we meet some really, really incredible people who they maybe just meet here and now they're traveling together. There's families that are literally, they meet at the beet harvest and now they're traveling year round together. We've seen some really incredible things come out of beet harvest, including marriages, which again, beets apparently bring out some interesting stuff in people, but I love it. I'm here for the beet harvest. Okay, so if you're a solo work camper, you know, we've had a lot of people apply, so please get your applications in as soon as possible so we can work through, you know, where we've got availability for our solo work campers. Okay, we've had a lot of people apply already, so we're encouraging everybody, if this is something that you're committing to and that you're interested in, get your applications in as soon as possible. As you can see in the photos, that is a big, big beet, and that's why it's so important to wear your PPE and your safety equipment, because I would not want to get noggin bonked by that beet that's on the bottom left-hand picture. That is a big old sugar beet, and some of them can get that big. You can see it kind of in the top photo too. She's got a baby beet and a big beet, so they get ginormous. Campgrounds. So we work with about 36 area campgrounds, and we make the reservation for you. So we will make the reservation with the campground. We've got everything reserved. We will give you where to go, when to be there, and how to get there, basically in kind of that June and July timeframe. Like we've said in the past, not all campgrounds are created equal. Most of our campgrounds are able to provide full service, but if we can't provide like a sewer hookup, then we do provide a honey wagon service at no charge, and then we also schedule that as well. At our larger campgrounds, we generally have a camp host available, so if there's things that come up that need to be handled, that campground host will be available. Otherwise, your harvest supervisors are always available to take questions or concerns about campground stuff as well. Our campground hosts are not required to walk dogs. Some have offered to do it in the past, but it's at their own discretion. We don't require it. Some folks, when it comes to pets, we encourage them to meet other folks with pets in the campgrounds, and they have a tendency to let each other's pets out if necessary, or to check on them simply. Okay, and then there's some other folks who maybe the spouse doesn't work and they offer that service as well. So definitely network with the people in your campground, because again, everybody who's there is pretty much there for Sugar Beet Harvest. You will not be able to walk from the campground to the piling site. So the shortest distance may be like a half mile from campground to piling site, with the farthest being approximately like 28 miles. And we'll always try to place you at the nearest campground that you've been assigned to piling site, but it's not safe to walk. There's a lot of traffic. Again, these locations are very rural, so there are tons of beet trucks in and out, tons of traffic, and it is not safe for folks to walk to these locations. Wi-Fi is not always available. We do have relatively good cell phone service up here, I think. I've got Verizon. There's a couple places, you know, in the area where things get pretty rural and my cell phone service might go down, but overall, you know, we're not pulling like, I think some people think of North Dakota and Minnesota up here, up in the northern part, and think that we're still driving around on horses and stuff like that. But we're not. We're just as common and normal as everybody else. We even have a Chick-fil-A and a Sonic and a Pizza Ranch. So, you know, we're pretty up on it, and cell phone service is pretty good. We always try to make campground improvements, so keep that in mind. We're always doing what we can to improve the experience, but Wi-Fi is not something that we can guarantee. When it comes to what is acceptable, you know, we accept everything from the big Class A's that cost more than my home to vans to what am I thinking of, where they're made out, so it's like a conversion. So we accept vans and conversions, but the van or conversion must meet Class B requirements, which means it has to have a bed, sink, stove, a type of refrigeration, and a type of heat source. I'm not expecting a full-fledged stove in your van, but you know, a cooktop thing that you can cook on it's more for your safety, guys. Keep in mind that if we have extended periods of shutdown, you need a safe place to hang out. And again, I think back to 2019 where there was a foot of snow on the ground. There were campgrounds flooding, and we were moving people. And again, you need to have a place where you can be inside because it's not always beautiful and sunny like in our photos. Not all campgrounds have bathrooms and shower houses either. So when you meet with your coordinator to go over what type of RV you have, please make sure to identify if you need bathrooms or showers so we can put you in a correct campground, one that will be able to facilitate that to you. Pets are allowed at the campgrounds, but as I mentioned above, please do not expect the campground host to let them out during the day unless you've made those arrangements with them on their own. Again, network with the people that are there, other pet owners in the campground who might be working an opposite shift. And again, you guys can work together to let your pets out. Okay. Fall weather. We are not as bad as people think we are. Some people see North Dakota, Minnesota, and they're like, oh, heck no, it's -20 up there and it's October. Not true. October is actually a very beautiful time of the year, and it can range from 75 degrees down to the 30s. I've seen people do beet harvest in t-shirts, and I've seen and have been out where we're in full-fledged snowsuits doing beet harvest. So it can range significantly, but again, October is kind of that prime time of when we do beet harvest. And again, keep in mind, we've got that range of when we're piling. So if the temperature does get too cold, obviously we are not operating. So don't let the fear of the weather keep you from trying this opportunity. There's nothing that you can't put your mind to for 2 weeks. That's for sure. Orientation and training. So now that you've decided that this is the right opportunity for you, you can head over to our website, again, the unbeatableexperience.com, and submit your online application. Once we receive it, a Workamper coordinator will call to review that with you. And again, give us a little bit of extra time. I know we generally say 24 to 48 hours before you hear from somebody, but I will say that when we have these Jobinars or hiring events, we do tend to see an uptick in applications. So it might just take us a little bit longer to get to you, but I promise we will be in touch. Whether it be by email, phone, text message, we have all those capabilities, but we will be in touch with you to review your application. And then we have about a 5-page checklist that we review with everybody. Again, kind of what to expect, what's offered, how to prepare, really everything that we went over today in a significantly more amount of depth, okay? And then after that, your liaison will be in touch with you every 30 to 45 days leading up to your arrival. So we stay in contact. We don't ever want you to think that we left you alone. Well, you're probably going to be calling us, say, hey, it's day 30. I haven't heard from you yet. What's going on? But every 30 to 45 days, we will reach out to you. Then we will get to a point where we will provide what we call onboarding or hiring paperwork. So we generally start sometime in the spring issuing the onboarding, which the system allows you to do about 75% of your hiring paperwork prior to your arrival. So you think like your handbook, your W-4, like all those things that you'd hire once you started at an employer. So it really allows you to do a majority of it online. And then around the end of June, beginning of July, your coordinator will reach out to you and let you know your arrival day, what campground, and where to go for office orientation. So when you come up and when you arrive, you'll have an office that you'll go into for orientation where you'll do minimal paperwork. It's basically the paperwork we couldn't get into the online stuff. And then you'll watch a safety orientation video. The video is about 30 minutes long. It just covers like the timekeeping system, safety, again, things you can expect on site. It's a really great video, and it's updated. So for everybody who's like, well, I've seen that video 25 times. Well, it's updated, I promise. So you'll receive that, you'll come into the office, you'll fill all that out, you'll meet your harvest supervisors who will really kind of be your contact during beet harvest. So you'll have a coordinator who's kind of your contact during the off season, and then your harvest supervisor who's your contact during harvest. When you're in the office orientation, you'll receive your piling site information, like what location you're going to. You might not receive your shift just yet because it's based on like when we expect harvest to really take off, and there might be some last minute things that we're going through, but you'll at least get your location, and then we'll give you the information regarding any trainings you need to attend. So the skid steer audition, the piler operator position, and then of course, everybody goes through a up to 4 hours of on-site training with like a foreman and on-site staff. So you feel better about what you're doing on opening night, and you're not just going in and standing by a machine, but you know what to expect, you know where to stand, how to direct the truck driver. So you will receive a 4-hour training. Okay. All right. I do see that we have on here that we've got the foreman position. So this isn't one that we necessarily advertise because we do have a lot of foremen return year after year. But in the event that we have an opening, we do highly suggest to everybody that if you have any previous management experience, to go ahead and submit your resume, because we always like to go through those and consider folks for the foreman position. So again, if you have that management experience and you enjoy that leadership role, please submit your resume with your application. We are always looking for those types of individuals as well. So frequently asked questions, do we hire truck drivers? We do not technically hire truck drivers, no. The growers are each responsible for hiring their own. What we have done in the past is if somebody reaches out and all they're interested in is truck driving and won't consider any other position, we do send their information to maybe some growers who reached out to us looking for drivers, but we do not go searching for truck drivers and growers to pair together. It just, we send information across and then that grower will reach out to that person. So you can always send us like your name and your phone number and we can put it out there in the grower world, but it's not something we intentionally do. What do we do for lunches and breaks? So once you go onto the piling site for your shift, you're not able to leave. So you can't go to like a McDonald's or a gas station or anything like that. So when you go to the work site, you need to make sure that you are 100% prepared. What I've seen folks do in the past is they turn their back seat of their vehicle into a closet and a kitchen. So I've seen people literally wire a microwave into the back of their vehicle, but there's a microwave available in the scale house, so you don't have to do that. I've seen people make like soups and chilies, and they'll store it in like these little hot pot lunch containers that are really super cool, so that they keep their stuff hot and warm so when it's time to take a break. But you're going to want to bring everything with you. So extra clothes so that you can put on layers or take off layers, your lunches, your snacks, your drinks. There is water on site, usually water and coffee. But again, just everything that you think you're going to need, bring it with you. How far do I drive to work? So again, we've got piling site to campground, as short as half a mile and up to 28 miles. But we always try to place you in the closest piling site to your campground. What about grocery stores? So again, we've got big, well, what I would call big cities within our little ones, but we've got Grand Forks and Fargo, which are our largest ones. And then there are small towns in between that have gas stations and grocery stores. So you're never going to be so far away from a grocery store. We've got access to all the goods up here. How long does harvest last? Again, harvest starts October 1st. It's a 10 to 15 working day, but we ask you to commit until October 31st. In the event that harvest runs past October 31st, you've technically met your commitment and can be on your way. However, that just means that we've got more days of beet harvest to get through and more money to be made. So of course, we encourage folks to stick around past that if they can. Can we be with our friends? we will do our best to accommodate that, but again, it's going to be based on where we're at in the hiring process. If we still have a ton of availability, that accommodation might be able to be easier made than if you wait until August to ask to be with your friend and we only have 3 campground spots left. So if you are making a request for an accommodation like to be with your friends, it has to happen sooner than later, and we do not guarantee them, but we will do what we can when we have the ability to. What will I need for clothes and shoes? So again, layers is super important. For the gals out there, when it comes to like the snow gear, we generally advise people to do like snow pants instead of like an overall situation or a coverall situation, just simply because of the porta potties. It's easier to get in and out if you don't have a full-blown over the shoulder snowsuit on when it's cold. But otherwise, lots of layering. So shirt, long sleeve shirts under shirts, or the thermal underwear. Those are great options. Hats like your beanies, etc. Things to keep your head warm, of course. And then, thick wool socks are always great. And again, all these resources are listed on our social media pages, which is the next slide. So a lot of great information out there. And then for shoes, steel toe is not required. However, we do encourage folks to have a good pair of boots, whether that be work boots, hiking boots, just a solid pair of shoes that they can be in for, 12 hours on the solid concrete, and that will keep your feet warm. So you can't wear Crocs, you cannot wear mesh tennis shoes. It really needs to be something that's going to keep your feet safe and warm and keep you comfortable for those 12 hours. What are the hours that I will be working? So again, we've got 2 shifts, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. We do not guarantee them. However, you can let us know what shift you would prefer. And what equipment is provided? So we provide your personal protective equipment or your PPE. You will receive a hard hat, safety glasses, and a safety vest. Most on-site locations also have like rain slickers and gloves for folks. However, we do encourage you to bring your own gloves, just a better fit for you if you've got like smaller hands. Like for me, I generally have a tendency to bring my own gloves just simply because the gloves out there might be extra larges or I might need like a small. So I always encourage folks to bring kind of their own like warm pair of gloves, and then they can get like I don't want to say plasticky, but they're almost like a rubbery material glove out on site. So let's get social. Again, there's tons of great information and resources out there. So our website, we are on X, previously known as Twitter, TikTok. We think we're really good at TikTok. We're getting better at TikTok, hopefully posting there more, but there is some great stuff out there too. You can follow us on YouTube. There's a ton of stuff out there. Our Instagram, and then of course our Facebook. We do have some really cool stuff coming up on our social media pages that I don't want to give away, but we may have a Beet Harvest celebrity that we are going to be doing something with. So make sure to follow us and like us. Don't want you guys to miss out on the opportunity to see what's up and coming. So make sure to check us out. And if you're familiar with the Beet Harvest and you've done it before, share your pictures and your videos if you're willing to, or your experience. There's a lot of people that are always out there asking, so make sure to share it. And we know Beet Harvest isn't always a great experience for everybody. We know it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and that sometimes we mess up, but when we do our best to make it right and learn from it and do better. And so not every experience out there is going to be a good one, and we know it, and it's not something that we should expect that it's always, again, going to be sunshines and rainbows. But please go out, see what's out there for you to take away and learn from, and what other people make suggestions for with their experience. There's a lot of great things out there, and not even coming from us. So check out the world of social media for more Beet Harvest stuff. All right, so don't forget to get in touch with us. You can call us, you can email us, you can send us snail mail if you really want to. Our address is listed on there, but we just want to talk to you. We want to answer your questions. provide you any information additional that you need. We are here for you guys. So Jody, if you're ready, we can open her up.
Awesome. Really great rundown, Alyssa. You guys always do a good job compiling, the right details. And as she pointed out, they've had a Workamper program for a long, long time, and we've seen it grow, and they have really adapted and adjusted the program for the Workamper. And Workampers, as you go through this application process and, like onboarding into the position, you're going to get so spoiled. When you go to apply for other Workamper jobs, it's not going to be as good as their process that they have gotten set up. So I'm always so amazed each year at the things that Express is doing for their Workampers. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and get into some questions. We have had a few submitted ahead of time, but those of you who are on the live webinar, find that control panel on your computer screen, the questions or chat section, type in any questions that you have. If you're on a smartphone or tablet, that questions icon should be at the bottom of your screen for you to tap on. And again, just type in any questions that you have. So Alyssa, let's get started. Some folks are wondering if there are any positions not at the receiving stations. You mentioned some campground hosts earlier. So how can folks get more information or apply for the campground host position?
Yeah, so the campground host position is actually provided by Express Employment, not American Crystal Sugar. So if you are interested in the camp host position, I'm not sure if we still have any available or not. Again, we have a lot of folks come back year after year for that position as well. But when you connect with your Workamper coordinator, like go ahead and submit your online application, and you should be able to enter that, I believe, in the online application. But when you speak to the Workamper coordinator, just identify to them, hey, I am interested in this position, and then they can kind of let you know where we're at in regards to if we have any availability or not. Again, we've got about 5 locations, and 36 campgrounds, so spread throughout. We've got a lot of different stuff going on, but just notify your Workamper coordinator, and they will assist you with kind of where we're at on that with the Workamper coordinators.
Okay, sure. All righty, that makes sense. And question here, how soon do you start taking applications for the next season?
Right now, so if you head over to the website, you can select the year 2025 as well. And then what we do is we might not have monthly communications, but ultimately once harvest ends, we will immediately start recruiting for the next year. So anybody who's applying right now, your information will be saved. You'll be put into the I'll call it the Beet Harvest database. And then what we will do is in November, when we get going, you will receive a communication to let you know that we're starting the 2025 process, and they'll start working through to get you set up for your checklist and everything else. And then we'll get her going.
Awesome. Very cool. All right. And if they are a 2-person team, or maybe it's a family with some 18 and above year olds, does each person need to submit an application on the website?
Correct. Each person needs to submit an application on the website with their own email, simply because once we get you into the Express system, we can't share emails, because you'll get connected like to view your pay stubs online and your W-2 and all of these things, and your onboarding documents, which are just for you. You'll need your own email. So each person does need to submit their application. And then there's an option as you're filling out where it'll say, who are you traveling with? You can put the names of the folks that are in your group or party, so that we can identify you guys are together, and again, put you guys together so you have the same coordinator, and then intend, of course, put you same location, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. Okay, super. And for those who are traveling, and maybe there is, more than one human in the RV, but only one of the humans wants to work the Sugar Beet Harvest, is that an acceptable setup for you guys?
Yeah, still apply. Again, we've got spouses or partners where one will work and one might already have a full-time job, or one will be a campground host, or one will go into what we call the quality lab, which is, again, we don't advertise for this position either because it generally, our rehire rate is so significantly high. It's very rare that we have positions open in the quality lab, but it's an indoor position and they're 10-hour shifts, and you're basically checking the tear of the beets. So again, there might be the availability. And don't forget, we're also express employment professionals. So if your other spouse or partner isn't working but might be interested in part-time work or something, we've got local opportunities as well. I even know that, for example, last year, I was looking for somebody to help answer phones in the office, and so one spouse went and worked Harvest, and the gal came in and she answered phones for us, and it was great. And I hope she comes back this year, but I'm not certain. So I might even be looking for a few people on my team during that time.
Sure. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, that's great. That's a great resource. Okay, cool. And all right, we've had, the community has changed a little bit. There are a lot more folks moving into, the travel lifestyle, wanting to become work campers, but they don't, have an RV yet, and they're looking for positions that provide housing. Does Express have any ability to provide housing for those who don't have, the right RV?
So we do have a housing program. I will say that at this time, we have had to start what we call a backup list for our housing program. However, we still encourage folks to apply because it's inevitable where we experience drop off and we may have to put somebody else in there. But we do provide housing. But again, right now, if you were to apply at this very moment, you would be put on the backup list for housing. Now, in the event that you get your camper put together between now and Beets, obviously we can work with that. We can do things on the fly too. But as of right now, our housing program is on the backup list.
Sure. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see here. Okay. Is there any sort of maximum age limit?
Nope, absolutely not. We only have a minimum, and that is at least 18 years old. We've got people as young as 18 and up into their 80s who are doing this role. So as long as you feel that you are physically capable and that you can lift a minimum of 25 pounds and be on your feet for the 12-hour shifts, we do not have a maximum. We encourage everybody who can perform the roles.
Awesome. Okay, great. And let's talk about timing a little bit. Some work campers may have summer positions that obligate them into October a little bit. This one couple specifically has a job until October 3rd, and then it would take them a few days to get from that location to, the harvest location. Is there any flexibility as far as start dates go, or can anyone come work maybe once the beet harvest season has already started?
It is possible. We do have what's called our late arrival program. We generally take up to around 15 people for that program, where we guarantee a minimum dollar amount. So say $1,500 in gross wages. If you arrive after the first week of harvest has started, of course, the risk is you could potentially miss a whole week's worth of harvest. Say that 3 times fast. And then, and it's also possible, again, where we look at last year where we had a shutdown that first week and then didn't get started until the following week, where it probably would have worked out perfectly. So we do have our late arrival program for those who can come in around the first weekend after harvest starts. But I will say we do also have our Michigan Beet Harvest, which there is a Jobinar next week for that, and that harvest starts a little bit later. So if you don't qualify or can't start for the October 1st approximate start date, and you maybe can't meet the start date for the late arrival program, their harvest starts right around mid-October and might be a little more feasible for some folks, because of course we don't want to stress anybody's rig where then they're on the side of the road. So there are other options too.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. Is there any possibility for folks to work the harvest in, Minnesota, North Dakota, and then move over to the Michigan harvest?
It is possible. I know I saw it back in 2020 where it was a 9-day harvest here, and pretty much everybody went to Michigan just because of the time frame. We don't guarantee it, just because if harvest runs incredibly long here, then that harvest is already going to be started and well underway. But there is the possibility. So you certainly can apply for the American Crystal Beet Harvest and then also Michigan, but just let the Michigan person know you've committed to the beet harvest at American Crystal and that you'd like to go to Michigan afterwards. The thing is if you commit to the American Crystal one, we expect you to, fulfill your commitment before you go to the Michigan one. So you would need to complete here before you can move over.
Sure, that makes sense. And just to clarify, Michigan Harvest has their own separate application process, right?
Correct. Yep. So they are completely separate. So different rates, different shifts, different a lot of stuff. So I would definitely encourage everybody to check out that webinar next week as well. I think it's next week. And then
Yes.
Crystal Barnett, our manager, will be hosting it. So it'll be a lot of great information as well.
Oh, actually, just kidding, Alyssa. It's actually not next week, but it is April 3rd. So it's less than 2 weeks, but not exactly next week. So April 3rd, everybody, we'll be doing the Jobinar about Michigan Harvest. If you're watching the recording of this webinar, we will have the recording of the Michigan Beet Harvest also available Workamper News YouTube channel or on the Express featured employer page, workamper.com/express. You can watch it there. So definitely can get the information on that if you're interested in the Michigan locations.
Awesome. Thank you, Jody.
Yeah. You guys are so organized. I like it. Let's see, a couple more questions here. And again, attendees, go ahead and get those questions in. But the list is getting shorter, so we'll be close to wrapping things up. How early can folks get into the campgrounds that they've been assigned to? Like if they did want to come to the area early?
So we will give you an arrival date, just like anywhere else. Like if you buy a plane ticket or you make a reservation anywhere, like you're expected to be there for your reservation. And it's the same with us. We can't always get you in earlier. There's seasonal people who stick around in camp. So when we give you the day, it's because that's truly when stuff becomes available, and we've got all that kind of for a reason. So if you are going to come early, a little bit of it is it's at your own risk, and then you're also responsible for it. So we won't pay for it if you come early. We will start paying the day of your reservation, and then once you complete harvest, if you complete harvest, we give you 48 hours in our campground, so you can get 2 nights of rest before you take off. If you're not able to complete, or unfortunately if you quit or if you are released, you do have to be out within 24 hours. But if you come early, that's fine. There's great things to see and do, but just again, come prepared like you're traveling anywhere else, because we can't always guarantee that there's going to be the ability to get in anywhere sooner.
Sure. And I believe you said, Alyssa, they'll know which campground they've been assigned to at least a few months prior to the start date.
Yep. So we try to start making those arrangements. Well, the arrangements, we're already working with campgrounds and stuff, but your coordinator will let you know that June or July timeframe. We will get through to people as quick as we can.
Sure. Okay. So then, yeah, Workampers, if you did want to come early, then like Alyssa said, it's just on you. You could contact that campground to see if they had availability for you ahead of time. But yeah, your reservation that Express covers and pays for will start when they tell you it starts. Cool. All right. Question here. You mentioned that the Workampers are not independent contractors, so you do not send out 1099 for the wages and income that's earned. So because you guys treat your work campers as employees, work campers should expect to receive W-2s for the wages that they've earned. Do I have that correct?
Correct, and those will be available, they come by mail too, but they're also available on what we call your workforce self-service. So you will be able to access your documents, your W-2 form, whenever that becomes available. And then they also get emailed to you. So it's super slick. You can go onto the website, type in a little bit of information, and it'll come right into your inbox. But yes, you will get a W-2.
Cool. Okay. And is the value of the campsite that Express pays, is that included as income to the work camper?
It is an incentive for folks to come and work. So it is Express Employment's providing.
Yeah. So the wages that you earn, the monetary wages that you guys earn, is what you're going to see on your W-2s. So that's pretty
And your bonus, yes, ma'am.
bonus. All right. Woo. Cool. All right. If folks are traveling as a family and there's two parents and there's kiddos that can't be on their own for periods of time, is it at all possible for parents to work opposite shifts?
Yes, again, just please identify that with the coordinators, so we can set that up, but we've done it for many years now. So yes, folks traveling with young kids and such that need opposite shifts, we can make that work.
Super. Okay, cool. Oh, all right. Another question just popped in here. This work camper had a specific coordinator contact last year. Should they expect to be able to speak with him or her again this year, assuming the work camper uses the same email address? Or will the work camper be assigned to a new contact person after putting in this year's application?
So in most years, we generally have the same work camper coordinators. So Jody, who has been our work camper coordinator since forever, she has kind of stepped back a little bit. She's still with us, but she has stepped back from the work camper coordinator position, and we have brought on a new one. So no, I can't guarantee that this year you'll have the same person, as we did shift a few folks, based on what we knew and how we wanted to see things go. So there is a chance that you might have a different coordinator this year.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, attendees, last call for any questions from those of you who attended live with us, but we definitely covered a lot of bases here. You guys have a lot of great information to now, sit on and think about and discuss with your family or your spouse or whoever you travel with, and decide if this Sugar Beet Harvest is an adventure that you want to take on. We've, certainly known a lot of work campers that have done it, and like Alyssa said, some said it was great, others said, nope, this isn't for me, but they're glad they did it. It's a good opportunity to make a nice little chunk of money before the holidays. A lot of work campers, will then take a couple months off for the holidays and then start up, another position in the following year. So yeah, definitely one of the more unique and fun ones that we always enjoy and love talking about every year. So all right, Alyssa, I think you got everybody's questions answered. Things are looking good over here. So anything else you want to throw out before we wrap up today?
No, thank you everybody for taking the time to be here with us and get your questions answered. And of course, as always, thank you, Jody and Workamper News. We definitely wouldn't be who we are and where we're at without you guys. So immensely love Workamper News. Would encourage everybody to use it. They are phenomenal. So thank you, Jody.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alyssa, and the rest of the team at Express. We look forward to seeing how Harvest goes this year. And again, if you're interested in that Michigan location, we'll have information coming up on the Michigan location as well. But yeah, put this on your work camping schedule, work campers, and be sure to get your applications in. They're filling up faster and faster every year. So thanks everyone for listening in. We appreciate you all checking out this Jobinar experience, and we wish you all happy work camping and safe travels.
Thanks, Jody.